Good evening and welcome to Success in the City. My name is Helen Webster. I'm with the lovely
Sandra Scott, and our fabulous guest today is
Des Flanagan.
Welcome,
Des. You got to say that, sorry, sir.
No, that's you. That's right. We've done it right. We've done it right. So
no, that's right.
People will always recognize. Well, they might not recognize him because he's had his hair cut, especially for tonight.
Yeah, I know. Being in makeup and everything. That hasn't helped.
He's been in the green room.
Yeah. So Des has been a co-host many times for us, which is great. But today our show is, and he's been a guest previously, but today the show is about Des Flanagan, the newly published author. So we'll be talking loads about that. Woo, go on.
Oh. Well, I want to find out when we later as we go on, I want to find out about the title because Helen told me it was changed. So I'm going to get a copy. We'll talk about it in a minute. Yeah. But I can't wait. Go on, Helen.
Shout out to the kids, any little people, young people who've done fabulous things this week. So I'm going to shout out to all of the young people who are doing their GCSEs. They're nearly finished. Keep going. You're doing amazing. You know, you've only got a few more weeks. Does it finish the end of this week or is it 2 more weeks?
There's next week. They do it. It's all a little bit earlier now. There's more exams next week for some people.
Yeah. So keep going, and you're doing great things. So I'm shouting out to all of them. Who are you shouting out to?
Oh, and you still mind. So all our French GCSEs and most of the A-level stuff were done in May. The last Spanish GCSE was yesterday. So we've had loads this year. We've had the most ever actually doing Spanish GCSE, A-level and French A-level and GCSE. And I've had help. So I've got a fabulous, gorgeous tutor, Sophie. I've got some other tutors as well, but Sophie and me do the GCSE guys together. So I'm just thrilled with them all. And I think I mentioned it before, there was a lovely boy who was only in year 9 who had to do it in his school. And that child works so hard for that exam. So I really hope he does well, etc. So that was my shout out as well to all our students who've been doing that with us.
Brilliant. What about you, Des?
Yeah, well, I had a guy on my show on Sunday called Phil Smith. He's a psychic medium.
Yeah.
And he was telling me that his young grandson, Ruben, has won 4 individual trophies this year, you know, on his football team.
Hey, that's good.
Like managers player of the year, players player of the year, the league player of the year. And the only reason I mention that, because last time my granddad told me anything like that, was a guy called Billy Murray. And you know who his grandson was?
Steven Gerrard.
Rooney. So young Ruben Smith, well done. Keep your
we need to put a tenner on Ruben Smith scoring for England.
Oh, wouldn't that be good? Yeah. That's a
Somebody
good one.
did it, didn't they, about Wayne Rooney?
Yeah.
He did. Put a tenner on, didn't he, and won like 14 grand or something like that.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Very compulsive gamblers are watching. I apologise.
Success this week for you personally. Something amazing that's happened to you. Do you want to go first, Sandra?
No, you go.
Well, I've just been, when I was writing the thing, I thought I haven't really got anything for this week. Because it's all been a bit of a blur, hasn't it? So I think one of the successes was that I went down to London and worked with Olivier, so Lou, which was great. We had a lovely day together. And we've been out and about, haven't we? Been doing different things, and that's why the show. And then we had the lovely wedding. So I think the success was that we had the lovely wedding. It didn't rain at Chester Races, so that was a success. So yeah, I think we've had like a few little successes along the way.
Yeah, my success is that I've been able to turn up tonight because I've been struggling for a while. And I got a fabulous carpet for 30 quid off Facebook Marketplace in my dining room to go under the table, which I'm over the moon about.
Brilliant.
Really well. amusingly, I have a lounge without a sofa in at the moment. But hopefully it is arriving this Friday, because they cancelled at 7:48 p.m. last Thursday for delivery the following day. But I said to myself, there's people without water. You can manage for a week without a sofa, Sandra.
100%. Well done, you. Well done. What about you, Des? What's your success this week? Apart from being a guest, of course.
Of course, being on Success in the City. Got a couple of cleaning contracts this week as well, which is good. And a job off the council, which
nice.
is good. Not so good when you got to do it, but good, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so so it was all right. Been a decent week this week, and it's only Tuesday. You know.
I know, already.
Oh, God,
you know what? It's going nowhere, isn't it? It's June. Brilliant. Okay, we're going to play this or that. I've got some crackers here.
Go on, you go first.
Okay. The first one's not that good, but the other two are. Des, would you rather host a radio show or a live theatre like an interview on the stage? So would you rather do it on the radio or on stage?
That's interesting, that. Because I haven't done it on stage, but I'm going to. Angela Preston's getting some stuff together, and it's all to do with county line stuff and all that kind of stuff. So I will be doing that. So I don't know is the answer.
Well, you can't. You've got to pick one for the rest of your life.
I'll let you know when I've done it. I think I'd like the rest of your life. I'd like the stage bit. Yeah, Oh.
You've got to pick one for the rest of your life.
Sorry. I'll go with the stage then.
Stage.
Yeah.
What about you, Sam?
Stage.
Radio, because nobody knows what pants I've got on. You can only see from here to here. I could have PJs on or anything. Nobody knows.
Brilliant. I think I'd quite like to do a live audience interview on stage. I think it'd be dead cool with like a bit of interaction with the audience, asking questions and things. I think it'd be like, when we've done a few little lives.
Yeah, I've been interviewed that way on a couple of times, about 3 times actually at events. Yeah. But life's a lot easier when you've got your pajama bottoms on, if you have.
There you go. Go on, Sam, you'll go.
I've done a few of them. I've done a few sportsmen's dinners.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go on, carry on.
It's dead funny when someone has their own show and they come on, isn't it? Because you automatically.
It's all about me. It's all about me. Now, go on, Sam.
You taught us everything we know, Des. It's only thanks to you we're here, really. I always think that. So, Des, would you prefer a beach holiday or a mountain holiday? A holiday in the mountains or a holiday by the beach?
Probably the mountains. I used to love going to mountains. I'm going to say years ago. It wasn't that long ago, but I loved it. I used to go every weekend. Yeah, I am a 3-peaker. Have I told you that?
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay.
So the mountains for me.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Helen? I know what
mountains,
your answer is going to be.
Mountains, 100%.
Okay, I like the mountains, but if I had to pick one forever, it's definitely going to be the beach. Okay, go on, Hal, you'll go.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Sam, I'm going to ask you this first.
Oh, dear God, okay.
Would you rather watch a movie with no sound or listen to a movie but with no picture?
Listen. Absolutely listen. Yeah. Because it's a dialogue. You can, no problem.
Yeah. What about you, Des?
No, I think I'd rather watch it. I'm filling the blanks.
Like the old black and white.
Yeah.
Years ago, they didn't have sound, did they? Like the old black and white.
I don't think it would hold me attention for a couple of hours just listening to it. I'd need to see what was going on,
I think I'm the same. I think I'd rather watch it. Di Cannon's listening in, and she'd rather be on the beach.
Yes, Di.
So there you go. Go on, San, you'll go.
Okay. Des, seeing what you've been through recently, which we're going to talk about shortly, would you rather write a book or read one?
I absolutely read one. Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that. What about you, Hal?
Absolutely.
I think I'd quite like to write a book. I've got a little idea for children's books.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think I'd quite like to write a little book.
Okay.
What about you?
Rather read one. I'd rather read one just because of the sheer effort in putting a book together. Although, as you know, I have got one ready to go, which I want to speak to you about later, does with Craig. But that's about language learning. It's not a novel or anything.
Di Cannon's Di Cannon would rather watch a movie, so she's the same as Des and I, and she would rather write a book on her antics. And I think it would be hilarious. So I think you should do Single on Sabbatical.
Yeah. It'd be one of the but it'd
she could get a few volumes out of that.
Yeah, adult only with a big 18 on it.
Wouldn't it? Defo adult only.
And John Howie says you probably remember the original silent movies, Des?
Oh.
Who's John Howie? Nobody knows him. Well done, John. You'd have been with me anyway in the same class.
They literally did used to show the black and white movies, though, the silent ones and things, Charlie Chaplin, on the telly when I was a kid, honest to God, on BBC Two, and in the pictures on a Saturday morning. And that was in the 70s. They used to still show them.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Des, are you ready?
Yeah.
Would you rather take advice from your 15-year-old self or your 115-year-old self?
Oh, 115-year-old self. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What about you, Sam?
Definitely 115-year-old self.
Yeah.
Gosh, absolutely.
No, I'm the same.
So I heard a great quote the other day. It was a line from a song called The Mule, right? And it said, how old would you be if you didn't know what day you were born? I think that's a great line.
That's very clever.
Yeah.
That's really clever. How old would you be if you didn't know the day you were born?
About 19 and a half.
You're as old as you feel, you know?
Yeah, about 19 and a half.
Yeah, it does depend what time of the day you ask that question.
Yeah. 18 and a head, yeah.
So Di Cannon's listening, and she's put, my boss doesn't know who Charlie Chaplin is. He thought it was a rapper.
Who's that?
Di's boss, he thought it was a rapper. And then she's put 115, 100%, and then she's put, you are as old as the man you feel.
You're as old as the man you feel, and you could be reading in that in Diane Cannon's For Adults Only novel.
She does know this is a family show, doesn't she?
I don't think any kids watch this.
Go on, San, your last one.
Okay, Des. Would you rather do a 15-mile walk for charity or a 15-mile kayak?
No, carry on.
Thank you. Would you rather do a 15-mile walk or a 15-mile kayak?
I'd like to have a go at the kayaking. Yeah.
It's topical.
It'd have to be a double one, though. So I could sit in the back and have a ciggy, you know, and take in the view. But no, seriously, I'd like to have a go at the kayaking.
You'd be in the back, and poor Lynn would be at the front driving that boat. St. Lynn, as I call.
But yeah, no, I think that'd be interesting at the kayak. Because Kevin's just done his thing, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Probably going to talk about that later.
And we had Mick Clark as well. We've shared a few on there.
Yeah.
That's amazing what he did.
Yeah.
For that child, you know, really good.
Di says, I wish you could hear me laughing at my own jokes. We know that you're laughing at your own jokes.
We know. Killing yourself laughing at your own jokes.
And she'd rather kayak. She'd rather kayak.
What would you rather do, Hal?
I think I'd probably kayak because I could walk 15 miles. So I think kayak.
Sorry, I went off there for about 20 seconds. Yeah.
I know. You didn't go off to us. Nobody knew. Never admit your mistakes on here.
You're back.
Okay.
Okay.
All right then.
Most people know who Des Flanagan is. Some people don't know what Des Flanagan has done in his past. They just see him now as a TV, radio presenter, you know, podcast presenter. So we're going to go back.
Businesses.
Yeah, we're going to go back and we're going to talk about how and why you wrote your book.
Which we've been waiting a long time to see.
Yeah, no longer than me, honestly. Well, there it is. And the title, Sandra, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's called Helping Blind Squirrels Find Nuts. And if you type that in, it actually comes up on Amazon as that. But it was suggested to me, because it's not a fiction book, it would help if in the title it explained what it actually was, which made sense to me. So it's called Creating Conditions for Success, the Art of Helping People Buy. And
I'm not being funny. That sounds very, very different from the original title. It sounds very professional and official rather than
but on the inside it's got
helping.
Yeah, it's got Helping Blind Squirrels Find Nuts on the inside, you know. But
perfect.
So as the title suggests, it's just my basic take on sales. Because I've been in sales all my life, you know. And I found out quite early on that it had nothing to do with what I was saying or what I was doing. It's what people think and what they perceive. So it's not about selling. It's about creating the conditions for people to buy. And I think there's a difference, you know. And that's all it is. It's just my take on that. But it's the first. I want to do a trilogy of books, and this is the first one, which is why it's only thin. But and because this is all about why I think you should do things that way. The next one is going to be how and who you do it to, you know. And then the third book was going to be about successes of people that I know that have maximized their opportunities. Because I hate it when people say I'm not very good at selling. I don't even know what that means. You know, anyone can sell. Because as I've said, it's not about selling. It's about creating conditions for people to buy. Now, if you haven't got a work ethic, that's different. You can work on that. If you have trouble overcoming adversity, that's a different thing again. You can work on that, you know. But actual selling, anyone can do it, you know.
So let's go back to the start of how you got into sales.
Well, I was I started work as a typewriter mechanic.
Oh.
And that went on to
Seamless. Sorry, go on.
Sandra just disappeared. She's back now.
Seamless.
And then that went on to photocopiers. So I thought instead of fixing them, I wouldn't mind selling them, you know. So I got a job selling Canon photocopiers. And within a couple of years, I was Canon Masterclass National Champion. So it was good, you know. But it was only when I kind of switched on to this simple thinking that it started for me. Things started to happen, you know. And I'm not to say that to impress anyone, because that just happened, you know. It just happened. So I've always, I think, kind of done it differently than the guys that I worked with and that, you know.
In what way, Des?
Well, instead of selling a product and talking, you know, people aren't interested in how much you know. They only want to know is what you know, or how what you know can help them, you know. So, and that was the approach I had. I looked at everything from their point of view and attached empathy to everything I did, you know. And then if I couldn't attach any empathy, the chances were the situation was unreasonable and I'd walk away, you know. I was never afraid of walking away from business.
Yeah, and what you're saying there, Des, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about understanding the needs of the customer and sort of solving a problem for them. Yeah. Whereas I think some people are like, you know, historically in sales, it was look at all this magical, all singing, all dancing thing and bamboozling people. And you hear horror stories, you know, people selling kitchens and things and staying in people's houses to 11 at night. And it's quite the opposite.
Well, I use the example I use the example in the book, and you know this, Sandy, because you were great when you had a little go to sell. You were successful. I remember you telling me that. But the sales situation, you know, like a Russian doll.
Mm-hmm.
You open it and then there's another one. You open it and then there's another one. So there's all little nuances and hidden objections. And that's where your questioning comes in. When you start asking the right questions, all these Russian dolls are exposed. And then it puts you in a good place to offer a solution, you know. And it's I don't think it's difficult, but you have to see it from, it's about recognizing reality of the people that you're selling to, you know. What's their reality? Because they will have their own views on how to solve the problem that they're faced with, you know. And so basically it's coming from the customer's point of view all the time, you know.
Yeah.
And then I also talk about don't ignore the smaller opportunities. And you're here at networking, where we've all been networking, and they say, what's your ideal referral? And it's always puzzled me, that question. Because to me, anybody who's in the market to buy what I'm selling is an ideal referral. So it doesn't matter to me whether it's a big company or a small company, because you just never know where it may lead, you know.
Yeah. You know what? And I think you're right there, Des, because sometimes people are dismissive of people, aren't they? They think, oh, you're no good. That type of attitude. You think and if you look at basics, if you look at the film Pretty Woman, and she goes in, doesn't she? And they just treat her like dirt, and off she goes. And the next day she's mated with him, Richard Gere, and they get whatever they want. And you should never judge anybody, should you?
Not at all, no. And you know what? Everybody's got a story to tell as well, Sandra. You know, you really have.
So John Howie's listening, and he says, he goes, explain the green printer.
Ooh.
The what?
The green printer.
Oh, John's read the draft copy of the book, and
right.
I recall a deal I did with an architect practice once, and I go on about being observant. You know, when you get the chance for a face-to-face meeting.
Yeah.
And back then, all photocopies were a much of a muchness, price-wise and performance-wise. Whether it was Canon, Konica, Minolta, they were all much of a muchness, you know. And I happened across this opportunity at a late stage. He'd already seen 4 machines, and I couldn't understand why he hadn't bought. So anyway, I arranged for a trial for my machine. But while I was in his office, I noticed that the furniture was green, the carpets were green, the blinds were green, the foam was green. Everything was green in his office. And I thought, I wonder if subconsciously he thought the machines he trialed looked out of place in his office.
Yeah.
So what I did, I got the engineer to take the machine, all the covers off my machine and spray paint them a nice shade of green. And I took it in. We had to stay after work so they could dry overnight, you know. And I took it in the following day, and I made no reference to the colour. I just showed him how it worked and left it with him. And he phoned me with an order a couple of days later. Now, I never asked him if painting that machine closed the deal, and he never said. But I bet you it went some way to doing so, you know.
That'd be interesting to find out who he is now, wouldn't it? And
wouldn't it? Yeah, it would. It would. But and it was just being observant, and sometimes subconsciously you can make decisions based on stuff like that, can't you? You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
it's
just
like
about
something mightn't feel right to somebody, but they don't know
why.
Yeah.
They
don't know what it is, and if you can do
I
something,
couldn't work out why I hadn't bought one, and I thought it was strange, you know. And that's the only thing I could come up with. So maybe that's what it was. We'll never know.
But I think as well that shows that somebody is going above and beyond, isn't it?
Well,
so
yeah. He would have had them thoughts, I'm sure, you know.
Yeah.
But I wasn't bothered whether he bought it because it was green or not. As long as he bought it, that was me done, you know. Yeah. So I never asked him.
What made you think, well, I want to write a book about it?
Because I'm going to get back into my sales solutions, and I think a book's like your business card, really, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
I started out doing that. Then when we started the cleaning company, it just went ballistic. You know, it became a runaway train. So I had to put everything into that.
Yeah.
And then when the lockdown came and we lost everything, that's when I pushed on and I got these chapters doing. But it's getting a bit tough as well because I'm hands-on as well, as you know, with the cleaning. And it's get, you know, some of these big jobs are getting a bit tough. So I want to go back into my sales solutions because I was doing quite well with that. And there's certain type of companies I like working with, you know, and I like working with family-run businesses or one-man businesses, you know. And there's a few reasons for that. Is the better listeners by far, absolutely better listeners. They don't have the 9-to-5 mentality, you know. They're more open to suggestions, and so I like working with them type of businesses, you know. When you start getting into the commercial and the corporate, there's a lot of politics start getting involved, and everyone's protecting their own positions, and I can't be doing with all that, you know. And then the public sector, that's a different sector. That's a different ball game altogether. But in the next book, I'm going to explain how I sell to how I used to sell to the public sector, because that's a different sale altogether, you know.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to go out now. That'll be in the next book. But
listening.
But yeah, definitely, I want to get back doing my sales solutions with family-run businesses. You know?
So when you thought, right, okay, no, I didn't say when you thought I'm going to write a book.
Yeah.
How did you go about it? How did you start?
Well, what I started doing articles for the Easy magazine, you know, and then I wrote about 3, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to carry on. I'm going to turn these into chapters. I just write a book, you know, and basically that's what I've done, and it was more or less finished. And I was speaking to Craig, you know, Craig Carden, a couple of weeks ago. He said, every time I speak to him, he said, how's the book coming on, you know? I said, oh, don't ask. He said, well, where are you up to with it? I said, well, it's more or less done, you know. He said, send it over. He said, I'll get it published within 3 days. I said, oh, behave. So anyway, he did. And what we've done, we put reflective questions at the end of each chapter and some action points. So it's I made over. It's worked out nice, and he did. It was all done within 3 days.
That's amazing.
And I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
it is, isn't it? You know,
it's not what you know.
It's like a book between sleeps. You know.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, isn't
Well, it's what you know about you, you know.
So, how do people get hold of the book, Des?
Yeah. But he's great at editing and that kind of thing. That's it. Yeah. So we put it together, and without Craig, it wouldn't be here. I'll be honest, you know. But
So it's
so anyway,
you've got a
the
hard
work's
copy
underway
there.
now on book number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got a hard copy
Yeah, there's a
there,
hard
haven't
copy.
you?
I'm gonna order some. Yeah. I'm gonna order some author copies this week, so you two will be getting one.
Signed, I hope. Signed copy, I
and
want, please.
Is there a
you can have
digital
it.
copy?
Yeah, and you two really don't need to read it. Well,
Is that no?
I would
I
say
want
that
to read
about you
about
two.
your
You don't need to
escapades.
read
Are there any funny stories in it?
it. Not really. You know, I wouldn't say funny stories. No, there's only a few personal references and that, and you know, but I do talk about the masterclass final because I couldn't enjoy it because my dad died a couple of months before. And really, what should have been one of my proudest moments meant nothing to me, to be honest, you know.
Oh, that's not funny at all.
No.
That's not a funny
But
story.
I know. I know. But
Okay.
that's where they made the show myself with the espresso story I've told on here. That's
Yeah,
where
the
that happened at the
espresso
Royal
story.
Garden Hotel.
No, I haven't. What's the espresso story?
Well, when we got down there, I mean, Cannon really look after you, you know, big time. And all the wives got taken out shopping for the day and this, that. Well, I just went to the bar. I said, can I have a coffee? And she said, do you want an espresso? And I didn't even know what an espresso was, to be honest. I said, yeah, I want a demo thing. And it was like a little thimble. And I thought it was a sample. So I went, yeah, go ahead, I'll have one of them. She said, no, that is it. She goes, oh, no, the scouts is in here, you know.
That doesn't matter. Oh, do you know what?
So,
Des,
so felt lost.
If it makes you feel better, when I used to fly for British Airways, used to go through Gatwick Airport, South Terminal, and I always remember you'd hear this guy and he'd be going, and it was like an original Costa, one of the first Costas down there, and someone had asked for a coffee and they'd obviously say an espresso because it was the cheapest on the menu, and this Italian guy used to go every day. It's small and black and very strong. To everyone who orders it, and everyone who worked, they used to walk past and go, small and black and very strong, because everyone must have been going, oh, I'll have the espresso. It's only $1.25, and we'll go, what's that? How funny! No, that's normal. I wouldn't.
What was he on about?
The coffee, the espresso.
What was he on about? Because I froze then. Oh, coffee. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Imagine only hearing half of that tale. That just doesn't work at all. Never mind. Oh no. So basically, you're saying about your sales solutions and that. So is that a consultancy then you're doing?
Yeah, I used to just go into companies and say, let's have a look how you're doing stuff, you know. Okay, and let's have a little go doing it this way and see how you get on.
Yeah.
And it's, I say, the family-run businesses are really open to that kind of approach, you know, because they need it to work and they haven't got the 9-to-5 mentality, as I say, you know. But every company I went in, well, we're in a better shape when I left than when I got there, you know. So,
yeah.
I knew it was working, you know. A lot of companies don't even realise how much business they've got with their own customer base.
Yeah.
Some of them don't even cross-sell products and all, you know.
Well, they always say
you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
That's right. The easiest sale is with an existing customer.
Yeah,
who's happy, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
You've seriously got people who've done.
I mean, and then when I become, yeah.
Go on, sorry.
Well, I like salespeople to have fun when they're doing the job, because if it's not fun, it really can become a chore, you know. And the first thing I did when I became the manager of the team was got rid of all the KPIs, because it just stifles the creativity, you know.
For those,
in my
people who
view,
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for those people who don't know, KPIs are key performance indicators. And when you're in sales, you're really under a lot of pressure, aren't you? Sometimes, you know, you can be under a lot of pressure.
Well, I say in the booth, if you force someone to do 30 calls a day, you're only going to get 30 bad calls, because they're made with no thought behind them, you know. And so I was interested in sales, not the number of calls, you know. So I got rid of them all, and we were we were a decent team, you know. In fact, a very decent team. So so it's all stuff like that. It's only my take. I'm not saying it's right and it's wrong, but it's helped me put a loaf on the table for 40 years, you know. So
yeah,
are you all right, Sam? Having problems?
Yeah. I had the chart. I left my laptop in work. I had the phone charging and it fell. Seamless here, you know. I like sales. I really enjoyed sales, and I did sales in London after I stopped flying, and then the Midlands, and then I came home up here, and it was much better up here because you got a cup of tea, as opposed to in London and that, you know. But in London it was easy. They don't go, how soon can you come and get fitted?
But you're great.
Sorry, go on.
Sandra, and so is Helen, she doesn't realise.
I've always said that
with you
about
two,
Helen.
your work ethic. You
know, you said before,
Helen
Des.
would be brilliant.
Yeah, you know, you said before, Des, you said if someone's got a work ethic, you can work on that. How if someone hasn't got a work ethic, can you give them a work ethic? Because that's something I would struggle to understand, really.
Yeah, you've got to find out why they're not a grafter, you know. And sometimes if they're not a grafter, well, that's it. They're not a grafter.
Yeah.
But there's some people would like to be a grafter, but don't know how to go about it. So there's clever ways of grafting hard, you know. It doesn't have to be slogs knocking on doors all day, you know. Yeah. And that's when you start targeting markets in clever ways, you know. And that's what makes it fun for me. I love it. I think it's a real fun job, sales.
It's the thrill. It's the thrill of the sale, yeah.
Not the way some companies do it. Not the way some companies do it. Some companies, it's just a drudge, and bad managers. I call them the curse of commerce in my book.
I like that.
If you get,
and they say that don't need people with people. Sorry.
Yeah. Wow, that is bad for the sales team, you know.
I think we're having a little freeze attack.
We are having a little problem there.
I went off again there, Sally. I went off again.
So, you're frozen for us, Des, at the minute.
He's back again. He's back.
Here he is. He's back in the room.
So, sorry, Des, for people who want to...
So for people who... it's and what I would say to people, if they get micro... Well...
Go on,
sit here like this. But Helen, you go.
Go on, Helen. Go on, Helen.
I was going to say, for people who want to buy the book, is it on Amazon? Is it available on Amazon now?
Yeah, it's on Amazon now. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
can they get it?
No, it's a tenner. The reason it's a tenner. You can get Kindle and this paperback.
That's what. Okay. Because loads of people read on Kindles now. Not me, but loads of.
Are you going to do an audio book, Des?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. No. And to be honest, anyone who knows me, if you ring me, I'll just email you a draft copy. I'll have to buy it.
Oh, you can't do that.
You've got to make millions.
No, you want the sales off it. I'm going to promote it like mad.
The next book I might want to sell because that's how you do it. But this one's just so like a tasty, you know. But
yeah, so we're going to put the link for that, Des, so that if anybody does want to buy it, they can click on the link. Yeah. So we need to find that on Amazon and put it on. Okay. Yeah. So we can share it for you.
I'll email you that. Like, yeah. Well,
I think it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Because you talked about it. You were talking about it a while ago, weren't you? Amazing.
Yeah. And what I will say to people, if they're being victims of suppressive management in any way, get out and find another job as soon as you can. There's no need for it. There's absolutely no need for it, you know.
Yeah.
Micromanagement and suppressive management. Not my view, anyway, you know. And so there you go.
So now it's published, Des. Now it's published, and the hard copy arrived through the post. How did you feel when you got that book in your hand?
It was good. I've got to be honest, I thought, but it was good for about a minute, and then it's like anything else. Once you've done something, it's down and you're on to the next thing, aren't you? I am anyway, you know. So it felt good for about a minute. So it's there, you know. I'm bothered. I say, if anyone knows me, get in touch and I'll email you. You don't have to buy it. I'll email them, you know.
You won't. You need to sell them.
What kind of a salesperson just gives their book away and doesn't sell it? Mate. We're trying to help you out here.
Never chase the dollar, Sandra. Let the dollar find you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be where I'm going.
But it's a nice little read. If you go on a train journey, it's boss, you know.
Yeah.
So, go on. Anything else?
So we will share the link with everybody so that people can go on to Amazon. They can buy it. Please don't email Des for a draft copy.
It's freezing this.
It's all right. Carry on. Yeah, don't email Des for a draft copy. We will share the link for you.
100%. Buy it and support a local author.
On our socials, exactly. Our mate as well.
But it's I put it on a tenner because it's free delivery then. Because it was cheaper than a tenner, but they put a delivery charge on, which took it over the tenner. So I just made it a tenner, and
I like that.
That, you know.
Great idea.
But £10, and it could be worth grands to.
It will be. And Craig, who helped Des out, I'm going to message Craig and ask him to come on and be a guest on our show. We've already spoke about it, haven't we, Sam? We're going to have him on our show as a guest because he's got a really, really interesting story of what he started off at to where he is now and all the amazing stuff that he's done in between.
Oh, it's fabulous. I mean, I think he'll get his doctorate this year, but he's being a Marine and everything, Craig, you know, he's a really interesting guest he'll be, you know.
Yeah, I think he'd be a great guest. So if you're listening, Craig, I'll be messaging you soon.
I think he will be. Yeah, I think he will be. Well, so so all good stuff. Everyone who's read it up to now has said they liked it. So that's all you can say. Really.
I know. I read the draft version and I loved it. I think I read this chapter or something, and you just had the headings. I loved it. Yeah.
And I've only sent it to people who will be honest with me as well, you know, and say, well, look, you know, this is not for you, this book, writing like, you know, or write another one. I'm writing another one anyway.
So when have you started the next one, or are you thinking about it? You're in the planning stage?
Yeah, I've started mind mapping it. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, well, I'm gonna have to come up with a title. Sandy, you can help me on that.
Yeah.
We will include nuts in the next one.
Your second one.
How to use your nuts or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. How to use your
Yeah.
nuts. Yeah.
So
listen, I'm not the best person. I'm not the best person to ask, because my business Chat Away, I had called Use Your Tongue, because it was a language training company, and my son went absolutely ballistic when he was 15 and said, you cannot call your business that. And it was only thanks to him it got called Chat Away. So, you know, I'm not the best person to ask about titles.
what was it going to be called, Sam? I missed that.
Use your tongue, because you have to use your tongue to speak a language, don't you? I know, and I never understood. And literally about 3 years ago, I thought, oh, yeah. Genuinely,
Oh, God,
without a word. He was like, Mom, no. I just thought it was a bit, you know, you use your tongue to speak a language, but so we didn't call the business Use Your Tongue.
I'm laughing at the innocence of you coming up with that. Yeah.
Yes, well, further to that, with the red face, I won't do one. I'll do a long one from long ago, which relates to that very topic.
Brilliant. So we're going to share the link for Des's book. And you can get it on Amazon. He's going to get some signed copies, and we'll do a little book launch, I think.
That comes up.
Say again, Des.
Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, I said that'll be good. You know.
Yeah, a little book launch, I think, would be good.
But as I say, I want people to start thinking differently. That's all. You know, about how they go about stuff.
Brilliant.
Because I think the world will be a better place as well. Not just about selling.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay, red face moment. San, what is your red face moment this week?
Relating to what Des, we've just had the conversation of Des laughing at the naivety of Use Your Tongue as being the name for the business before it was Chat Away, and I was advised not to call it that. When I think now, some of the phone calls I might have had, because when I was 17 and I was in upper sixth form, I put a sign in the post office in Childwall, French lessons, and the landline number. And all I remember was my mother going, like freaking out at some guy on the phone on the landline. And because he misunderstood that the French lesson sign did mean genuine lessons in how to speak French. So I've had lots of issues over language lessons and saying the wrong words in the past. You think I'd learn, but I really only do see it from my perspective.
Yeah. What's your recent red face?
Me?
Yeah, have you got one?
Yeah, not much really. I am sitting. I've invited my friend for dinner tomorrow. I had another friend for dinner on Saturday night, and I've got no sofa, and I've got a step ladder in the middle room. That's it. But I think I'm all right. I've not been out and about too much. I'm going to a big event Thursday night, so let's hope it doesn't happen there.
It won't. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Have you got a red face, Des?
No, I haven't been out since I was out with Phil. I've told you that one. So, no, I haven't. No.
Brilliant. Well done. So I was in the car today.
No. Yes,
here we go.
You had what?
So I was in the car today, and the person in front of me, I thought I knew.
Oh, again?
So, yeah. So I was beeping the horn like mad, with the traffic lights. And it wasn't there. And this fella kept on turning around, and I was like, hi, waving at that. I was going, beep, beep, beep. And it wasn't the person I thought it was. So I look like dead rude and dead impatient, I was like,
yeah.
And then as I pulled off, he pulled like round like that and glared at me, and I thought, oh, and I was like, oh, you're not even.
Oh no.
So that's mine.
You've got yours.
Because I was in the car. Okay. Shout out to the grown-ups. Any grown-ups who've done amazing things this week.
Go on, Helen, you go first.
Okay.
You go
I'm going to
first.
start with Kevin Lynch. So Kev
Yeah.
kayaked from Leeds to Liverpool. The weather was horrendous. It was raining, it was windy, it was cold. But he was absolutely brilliant, and he kept updating me with little videos, which I kept on sharing. And then on Sunday, I said, share your location and I'll pop along the canal, you know, and come and see you. So he was by Ormskirk, and I was going to the gym, and I thought, so I've got enough time to go to the gym and come back, and then I'll meet him at Melling Road and, you know, with the dog and stuff. Anyway, when I come out the gym and I come home and I looked at the tracker, he'd gone that fast that he'd gone past. So I ended up having to drive to Aintree, and then I jumped on at Aintree and I saw him there. But a massive shout out to him, and a big shout out to the two young lads, Oliver and Jay, who so they walked and ran next to him. So they did all of that. And when I met them, they were both like absolutely destroyed. They still had 9 miles to go. And they were like, oh, and I was like, come on, you're nearly there. So big shout out to them, you know, two young lads supporting them all that way.
Do you know what? Some shift that, Helen. You know, when you think about
unbelievable.
Because he noticed the Albert Dock, didn't he? That's where he finished.
No, he ended up finishing because something was on, and you know the D-Day parade was on at the end. So he ended up finishing in Vauxhall Road, you know, just a little bit there. And there was a lovely video of loads of people, you know, who turned out to support him. And they said they had quite a nice support, you know, as they were going along the canal and stuff. Unbelievable to
well
do
done,
that.
Kevin. That's brilliant, that mate. Yeah.
And I think he's raised about £5,500 so far. So they need £15,000. So 30,000 people donating 50 pence is what he said when he was on the show. So I thought I'll give him a couple of weeks to get himself recovered, and then get him to come back on again and talk about the experience of you know what he did and how he's getting on and stuff.
And you know why he did it. Okay, I'd like to give a shout out, and a lot of people would have seen this on the telly, to the young lad who was in foster care, Brad, who was on the programme called The Piano, and also his amazing foster carers. And as he said, Frank and Ev, he called them, and they gave him the opportunity to have a piano, you know, and to learn that. And without him going to that family, him and his brother, they took the brothers in, without them going to that family, he never would have achieved that. And we've had Phil Watson on here, who's a real advocate. He's a foster carer himself, and he promotes the foster caring for the local authority for Liverpool. And I deal with different foster carers in my job as well. And it's a really, really cool thing to do, you know. And what an amazing set of foster carers. And if he hadn't gone to that family, and they hadn't have encouraged that music. I mean, he was absolutely gifted. He didn't read music. He did it that way, you know, not classically trained, but and he wrote the pieces himself. You know, absolutely gifted person. So shout out to all three of them. You know, I was blown away by that.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to give a shout out to Gareth Penman. So Gareth Penman did the inflatable 5K for An Hour for Others. So An Hour for Others have been on our show before. And
great shot.
He did the inflatable 5K for them. And he was, when we were having a little chat, he put 150, he was going to ask for £150, you know, as his target. Anyway, he was donating £100 himself. So Christine said, you'll have to put more, like put 500 quid. Anyway, smashed the 500 quid. So they put it to 750. Done that. £1,000. So they're taking a group of children away during the summer holidays, and they go on a weekend residential, and it costs £250 per child to be able to go. So by him doing that and everybody supporting, he's been able to pay for like 4 children, you know, to be able to go.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? Where are they going, Helen? Do you know?
I'm not sure where they're going, but they go on a little residential for I think they go Friday to Sunday or Friday to Monday. So
Helen,
big
what's the inflatable 5K?
So it's big inflatables, you know, like bouncy castles and things, but it's like an obstacle course.
Yeah.
So you run and then you do an obstacle, but it's a big
Oh,
inflatable.
right.
obstacle.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Wow.
and for
So-
Gareth as well, he's just looking amazing at the moment, and he's doing
Yes.
phenomenal, and he's on fire. And
Yeah.
for him to see himself like this year to what he was last year and what he's doing is amazing. So big shout
Fantastic.
out
Well,
to him.
shout out.
Yeah. So Bev,
We know some cool people.
yeah, Beverly and Keenan Bradley is listening. So
Oh, hi, Beverly.
previous guest of ours.
Yeah.
And she says,
Hi,
hi
girls.
guys, so
Yeah.
hi to her. Yeah. Who's your shout out to, Des?
Talking about books, there's a book, Katie Orr and Angela Preston, who you both know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Finishing a book called Fighting to Be Heard. And it's about a group of women in secondary breast cancer. And some of them have got long to go, you know. And so they're trying to get this book out, you know, over the next couple of weeks. And it's a bit of a tearjerker, to be honest, you know. But yeah, it's a bit sad. So Katie Orr and Angela Preston, well done on that, you know.
And Angela's been on our show before.
Yeah, she is.
She's been a good guest on our show. What are you reading or listening to, San?
Oh my God, I'm absolutely obsessed. I've been dying to speak about this. So Fran Nicole, who's been on our show before as well, she trekked across Mongolia for 3 months. Now, she didn't say it when she was on the show, but I can say it now she's left. She was head of her department. She was a surgeon, and she was the head of department in the Royal and had a big team under and everything. And I never asked doctors doctory questions because it really annoys them. So I've never, all the years I've known her, I've never asked her anything. Anyway, we met up the other week. She gave me some books for the school, and she is moving to Australia. And I said to her, right, Fran, I've never, ever asked you this. And I spoke to her about gluten intolerance. And I said, I've been able to have bread at the art school that isn't gluten-free, and I'm fine. And Paul Askew said, it's you can't be allergic to wheat, Sandra, it'll be the enums. That. And she said, right, there's 3 books I recommend to everyone. She's given me the 3 titles. So on Audible, I'm on like chapter 19, nearly done on the first one. And the first one is Ultra Processed People. And I know there's all books out there about this and that with additives and food like that. My God, what an eye-opener. All about how they've done things to make food addictive, like with cigarettes, it's the same. And they said, it's like when people say about obesity and stuff over there, he said they're not. He said they're living with obesity because there's certain foods, like, and with the diet foods saying, I can't go into all the sciences there. It's absolutely one of the most eye-opening things I've ever heard. And there's all court cases against food manufacturers.
Wow.
Really, really. And all I'll say, people who might say, oh, you can't do that, you won't eat anything. Or if there's something in your food that doesn't come from nature, it shouldn't be in your food. It's as simple as that. And it's
Sam, does that mention corn syrup? That book.
It talks about it's. I'll forward it to you. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. So Ultra Processed People. It's written by a British doctor, and his twin was was living with obesity. And they both went to medical school, and it inspired him. Very interesting. Okay, sorry, go on, Hal. What are you reading at the minute?
So I am reading Why Do We Sleep, which was one of the books that Fran had recommended, but I already had that. Somebody had bought me that, or I bought it myself. So I'm reading that, and what's happening now is people are understanding, you know, why we sleep, so you know, and what happens to our bodies while we sleep. And if sleep wasn't important to evolution, we'd stopped sleeping, you know. And if you look at all the animals, everybody, we all still sleep. And it's about your circadian rhythm, which fascinates me anyway. So I'm reading that, but I'm also listening to a book called Outlive, and that's about living. You have lifespan and health span. So you've got a date. You live there, or do you want to go that way, or do you want to go that way? It's about how you live. And I'm going to live till I'm at least 100, because I've always said that since I was tiny. But I want to be doing things like gymnastics and jumping out of planes and things like that. When I'm 100, I don't want to be sitting in a wheelchair. So and it speaks a lot about the food and how we eat and stuff. So they all sort of like fit in with each other. So yeah, brilliant. What about you, Des?
I'm reading, it's called Creating Conditions for Success by some fella called Des Flanagan. I'm only kidding. I'm reading Louis Suarez's autobiography.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is it good?
So it's quite interesting, actually. Yeah. And he's a good lad, and you can get where his nastiness comes from.
Yeah.
They'll call it nastiness.
I'll read that after you.
But he's not nasty. He's a good lad.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's all right, Suarez. You know.
Yeah. I'll read that after you if that's a good one.
But the culture of how he was brought up, it instills this kind of a must win at all odds, you know.
100%.
And it's interesting. It's an interesting book. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. So massive thank you to Des Flanagan for joining us. We will share the link for his new book. Massive thank you to Sandra Scott. It's lovely to have you back. It's good for us both to be back, but for us all to be here, isn't it? You know, we've missed a few weeks, but we are back on track now. So we will love you and leave you and see you all next week. But Des, what is the closing quote for this week?
Okay. It's very simple. It's a Chinese proverb, and it's, if you find it hard to smile, don't open a shop. There you go.
I love that one.
I know. And we will see everybody next week. Have a good week, everyone.
All right. See you, girls. Thanks.